Right, so what exactly are the implications of a cabinet reshuffle? Well, a lot of talk about this imminent reshuffle following the resignation of Deputy President David Mabuza as a Member of Parliament. Mabuza announcing a few weeks ago already that he is planning to step down so he can make way for a newly elected Deputy President of the ruling party. So what does that mean for us? How does a cabinet reshuffle affect the country and affect ordinary South Africans? And can we expect any new faces, really? Well, let's find out from political analyst Professor Dirk Kotze, who's always kind enough to make time for us. Prof, good morning to you. So do you think we're going to see a lot of new faces, or is it going to be the proverbial reshuffle, just move the same faces into different portfolios? What do you think? Good morning.
Good morning. I think it will be a bit of both. On the one hand, there are a number of vacancies, starting with the Deputy President, but there's also vacancies in, for example, public administration. There will be for transport, for Kile Mbalula will resign apparently very soon. There will also be a new Minister of Electricity, of course, which is very much anticipated. These are all vacancies that exist. But then I think there is definitely a possibility that some ministers will be moved to other portfolios. There's lots of talk about Becky Kelly that will possibly move from police to the expectation is that of state security or intelligence. Lindiwe Sisulu, given her pronouncements, her criticism of President Ramaphosa last year before the ANC's conference, she might be removed from the cabinet. Dr. Dlamini Zuma is one of the uncertain factors. What will be her future? Given the fact that there is a state of emergency, a state of disaster, which so far hasn't produced much, but she's supposed to be the person who must manage that. So therefore, I'm saying it's a bit of a combination of all of those options.
Because I'm glad you mentioned the point of Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, because during the State of the Nation address, many critics and experts picked up the fact, Prof, that the President hadn't named her as by name, just referring to the Kotze minister dealing with the state of disaster, not going as far as to name the person. Some people felt that was very, very telling as well. So we've been hearing from the presidency spokesperson that the President has to apply his mind when it comes to this. What would the President be taking into account? Would he be worried, for example, what he does with his cabinet, how that might translate for ANC votes in next year's election? Would that form part of his thinking? Should that form part of his thinking?
Well, it definitely will form part of his thinking. He obviously acts in this respect as the national president, not as the ANC's president. But the two are so inseparable that it is impossible to say that he doesn't include what is or might be or should be the impact on the ANC. So he's definitely looking for a combination of ministers in his cabinet who you think will be a winning team for him, for the ANC. More so because it's the very first time that the ANC has the possibility of losing its majority at national level and even in some of the provinces like Gauteng, for example. So this is certainly a very important consideration for him. At the same time, what is also an important consideration for some people, it's inevitable, is the position of Deputy President. There is lots of speculation that Paul Mashatile, it's inevitable that he must become the national Deputy President. But at the same time, there are precedents, including that affecting President Ramaphosa himself. When he was elected as Deputy President in 2012, he didn't become immediately thereafter the Deputy President, but waited 2 years, or a bit less than 2 years, to 2014, after the national election, before he became the Deputy President. So it's not inevitable. But in this case, I think it is very likely that it will happen like that. But then there's obviously a lot of political speculation about President Ramaphosa not being so close to Paul Mashatile, and that he will have to watch him very closely because he can develop his own constituency within the ANC and government, which might pose a challenge to President Ramaphosa. I myself don't have that type of expectation or anticipate that, but there's many who feel that these are some of the aspects that actually delays his decision about the Deputy President and the rest of the Cabinet.
You raise a good point, and I think there has been a lot of assumption, Prof, and I'm glad you've debunked it somewhat, that it's not an automatic guarantee that Paul Mashatile will get the position. Do you think you could put forward a name that the President could be considering, if not Paul Mashatile, for Deputy President? Because that is the, I think, safe bet right now. Who else could it be, do you think?
Well, one person that he had in mind in the past was the Minister of Dirko, Naledi Pandor. Why she might be an acceptable person is she's not so much involved in the factional politics in the past in the ANC. She is clearly at the last part of her political career. She does not have any political ambitions anymore. So if she is appointed in such a position, it is not as the beginning of a new or different political career, which might either threaten Paul Mashatile's future or that of President Ramaphosa. So she's the type of person who might fit in such a position for a while. There's other senior ministers also, but most of them are still sort of very active in their positions. And therefore might disturb the political landscape that developed after the ANC's ANC's conference in December.
Yep, certainly a very different viewpoint as well. I think many people would not have necessarily thought that it wouldn't be Paul Mashatile. As you said, Prof, it's not guaranteed, it's expected, not guaranteed at all. It's actually a fascinating way to end the conversation. And my thanks, as always, to political analyst Professor Dirk Kotze making time for us. So yes, the expectation is it will be Paul Mashatile, but as the good Prof says, it's not guaranteed. We're heading